Howdy folks, Tex Grebner here with Tex Grebner Outdoors. I hope you guys are ready to make it weird because it's Illinois Archery season 2018, week number 9. So you better be ready for your Tex Grebner Outdoors Saturday morning cartoon awesomeness because Wile E. Coyote is my spirit animal. While I'm at it, speaking of making it weird, you can use the discount code of WEIRD at TexGrebnerOutdoors.com for all your Tex Grebner Outdoors merchandise needs if you'd like to support the channel in a way beyond simply watching the videos. And that discount code will give you 20% off all Tex Grebner Outdoors merchandise until the end of 2018. Speaking of discounts, I also want to thank Three Rivers Archery. You can use the discount code of Tex Grebner in your checkout and get a discount on your traditional archery supplies. So here's what's going on. It's about 2:30 on Black Friday. I'm not in the woods yet. Why? Because my dumbass plugged the cameras in but didn't have the other end of the cord in the wall. Yeah, go me. Also, it's windy as hell, so my arrows were hitting the target in the backyard almost sideways at 20 yards. Not a good thing. Tried life, yo. So I'm also playing the high-stakes game of whack-a-mole in my head, wondering what stand that I should sit in. In all likelihood, not gonna see shit, nothing's gonna matter, but hope is the lie that keeps us going.
There's a great paradox in hunting, and that is you can go from super excited to the idea of this is bullshit. And the thing is that it's much easier and much more palatable to fantasize about what might be happening under your stand when you're not able to be in it because of real life. And then you actually get out there, you go out super excited, you climb up, and then all you can think is, this is bullshit. Why was I excited about this? It's 33 degrees, it's really windy, it just started raining, the deer have got PTSD from the gun season, nothing's moving, everything is wet, everything is nasty, and it is just so desolate and forlorn, sitting in a deer stand knowing that in all likelihood you're not going to see shit other than maybe a couple of squirrels. With that being said, now that I was out here, I made up my mind that I was going to sit till dark because you really don't know what might happen. Even though, odds are, you already do. It's hard not to feel forlorn about the season because, sure, it runs all the way into January, but I feel like I've blown my chances and not capitalized on my chances so far that it seems like it can only go downhill from here. I don't think that the deer winter on the property that I have access to. I know where they are in the winter. I just don't have access to hunt that spot anymore. And so you go out with high hopes and then you think, well shit, there's nothing gonna show up. But you still gotta go out. Now I could print off a windshield card and go drive a county over and try and hunt the public land, but it's definitely a logistical issue, and I'll get to that here in a second. But the fact is, my county that I live in does not have public land access for deer hunting. It just doesn't exist in my county. So yes, take good care of my western public lands, Randy Newberg, because for as much as I'm able to use them financially and geographically, they might as well be on the damn moon. So I could go over to the next county over and hunt public land over there. The main issue with that is that it's logistical, because in Illinois on public land, you're not allowed to use permanent stands, you're not allowed to use screw-in tree steps, so everything has to go in with you and come out with you every time. Logistically speaking, it makes hunting on film in Illinois on public land really, really hard. Now, again, if I wasn't actually filming, all I'd do was pack in a little three-legged camp stool, find a likely spot, and wait until a deer walked up and introduced itself to me because I was on the right trail. But hunting and filming on the ground, when you're literally at eye level with deer, it's really hard. And you never know if you guess the right trail until it's too late and you're eye to eye with a deer. Well, that wasn't a great shot to start out with. That was better. Somebody asked me about the gloves that I'm using. They're 100-gram leather and thinsulate gloves. Let's see if I can get a better group before I head to the woods. It's so peaceful out here living in the sticks. Other than the train whistles and everybody driving up and down the road with a loud-ass diesel truck. That was a pretty good shot. I kind of rushed that one, so my group opened up just a little bit, but here's hoping that I do at least get some shot opportunities. It doesn't seem like this would be a hard thing to do, but it is one of the interesting things that's actually hard about hunting on film, and that is the fact that if you hunt on film and then you finally get something, and you're all hopped up on primal emotions and self-pride for a change because things actually worked out, it's super hard, but you wouldn't think that it would be hard, to talk over the body of an animal without sounding like a total douchebag. Yeah, I got that rabbit last week. I was so proud of that, even if the thing did, basically commit suicide, because it jumped where my arrow was heading. Granted, I suppose I could always say that that was a true instinctive shot because I put the arrow where it was going to be, but I don't think I can actually claim that truthfully. Hopefully, the bastard buck is still alive, but I doubt it, and I can't honestly say that logically I believe that deer will be walking through the property that I have today, but it's not going to stop me from going out and sitting and hoping and praying for another opportunity. It was a long day in the stand, and I went out knowing that there was all likelihood that I wasn't going to see shit. That I was going to sit from 10:30 in the morning until dark. I wasn't even going to have a chance at a deer because they just weren't going to be moving. It isn't in their winter range, but it's the property that I have access to, and that's just the way that it was going to be, and I couldn't change it. Now, I have made mistakes, and I can't hide from the camera. If I screw up, it's on film, and you're going to see it, and that's just the way that it is. But I also have a real big chip on my shoulder about my whitetail hunting, in that I wasn't a little kid that grew up deer hunting, where somebody put me in a stand that they had set up for me and put me on deer. Hell no. I spent the large majority of my outdoor film career, because I've been hunting deer as long as I've been filming. I spent the majority of my outdoor career staring at trees, not seeing shit. Not even having the opportunity to make mistakes or become inoculated against buck fever or the primal excitement of the hunt, however you want to refer to that. But I didn't have the opportunity to screw up. So in spite of the fact that I'm 30 years old, I'm the equivalent of a 12-year-old when it comes to whitetail hunting, because I've literally had to learn everything myself along the way. Maybe I'm the only person that's like this, but does anybody else climb up into a tree stand and then all of a sudden you're looking around after a little while and you think, that'd be a great tree to hang a tree stand on? Granted, I've got one right here, but that'd be a great tree to hang a tree stand on. I find myself doing that quite frequently once I've already got a stand set. But I know that this is a good tree. After all, I did have a buck walk right underneath of it. But it's kind of one of those grass is greener on the other side kind of things, where you are already set up and then you instantly think, once you've got a good lay of the land, shit, I should have put a tree stand over there. But speaking of the grass greener on the other side kind of thing, I know where the deer probably are holed up. The problem is I can't go on that property anymore because I don't have permission anymore. And so I sat here literally all day, and didn't see shit. Yeah, sure, there were a couple of squirrels and a rabbit that was out of range. And the most interesting thing that I saw all day was right after dark, as I just get done packing up here. I'm 90% sure that I saw a damn UFO. Not saying that I saw aliens, I'm literally saying that I saw an object in the sky that I personally could not identify. It was a beautiful day out here, but I don't have high hopes. But I do know that as long as I can still get out here, I'm going to keep coming out, because the season runs till January, and I would rather die than say I quit. Because it's a nice day today. Like, as you see, I don't have my gloves on. It doesn't get hard until we're dealing with 0 degrees Fahrenheit and down. And I take great pride in the fact that I'm willing to hunt into the later seasons, even if I know that my likelihood of having anything on this property is really low. Get ready to see me Frost the Fu Man up in this shit, because I'm going to be here till the last dog gets hung. But I doubt at this point that I've got real good chances anymore. We're going full Wile E. Coyote here. It's almost dark, it's 33 degrees, it's raining, there's a snowstorm coming in. I slipped and slid and basically fell, like sliding off a glacier, down the muddy-ass hill to get here with a climber and my camera mount. And the reason that I say that we're going full Wile E. Coyote here is sometimes my plans are just dumb enough to work. You see that little green strip out there in the gathering darkness? That's the trail that the deer walk when they cross the creek and come up. Now, with a good wind, if you can figure out where they want to be, they'll damn near walk up and introduce themselves to you. But obviously, as you can see, it's a little bit brushed in here. I had to get really creative here because, as you can kind of see here, I had to go get a log and strap it to the tree so that this climber stand would actually fit on this little tree here behind all this brush. Because, yeah, I wanted to use a climber for this spot because it has a real comfy seat. And so, while I am not hopeful that deer will be traveling through the property at all, there's nothing to make them do anything other than what they already want to do, I at least think that this plan could be dumb enough to work. The learning curve on hunting is very steep because as the season moves forward, things that used to work might not work anymore because the dynamic of the deer movement will change based off of hunting pressure, weather, the rut, food requirements, and just the general wanderlust of a wild and free majestic animal. So I always feel like I learn things too late in the year for them to be of much use to me moving forward, but definitely good information for the next year, which can be problematic when you're hunting properties that you might not have access to the next year, which is what's so very frustrating about right now, because I know without a shadow of a doubt trees on properties that I can't hunt anymore that I could kill giant bucks out of, or at least giant bucks from my pay grade of the outdoor industry. But that doesn't help me any, because there's no use crying over spilled milk. It rained up until it snowed, and I had to pick out the ice from my camera mounts in order to get my camera shoes dropped into them. Speaking of shoes, I wore my cleats down the hill because not only had I slid down the hill with this climber last night, I had an absolute hell of a time getting climbed back up out of the hill because it was like greased ice. And this is an absolutely perfect spot and a plan that is just dumb enough to work, because I'm set up 9 yards off of a trail where the deer take a cow path out of the creek, go through the walnut saplings, and head up into the field across the property line at the top of the hill. Would have been absolutely perfect to ambush the doe that I missed, who was standing literally 5 yards from the spot that I'm sitting in right now. And so I'm hopeful for this spot for next year. Funny thing about hunting in the winter is that it's just so peaceful. It's so serene. You can't make this shit up. I literally froze to my tree stand seat here. Tree stand, even though it's basically a ground set, but it is the top half of a climbing tree stand. So I literally froze to this damn thing because it was soaked with rainwater, then froze, turned into ice. I come down here, I get set up, I have to chop out my camera mount so that I can mount my cameras, sit, hope, wonder, is anything going to show up? And I'm sitting here for a little while, and the tree stand seat has been soaked with water that turned to ice. My body heat has made it melt, and it literally froze my coat and my coveralls to the stand. So then I think that I saw something, and I reach for my bow, and I hear this like Velcro. First of all, it wasn't actually anything. It was just a leaf. But I literally froze to my damn stand. So if something had showed up, I would have been screwed because I wouldn't have been able to get into position quietly. So yeah, I admit it's always unnerving when I'm looking in the viewfinder at night, because the last thing that I want to see is eye shine out there. And now I get to go take my football cleats, which have been freezing, back up the hill, and hopefully you're going to see this because it means that I didn't fall and die. But I'd rather die than quit. I'm in this shit at this point looking for a good death, because the winter is only going to get worse from here.
There's an old saying that goes, you either have the time to do what you want or you have the money to do what you want, but you really can't have both. And I've found that to be true in my life. The days all blur together for me because I'm basically able to hunt as much as I actually care to go out hunting. The trade-off is I'm lucky to have 2 cans of Copenhagen to rub together. My job as a farmhand allows me an extraordinary amount of freedom and free time to basically do what I want when I'm not working. The problem is, I live paycheck to paycheck. But I also live a charmed life, so I really can't complain. Somewhere out there, there's somebody, however misguided they are, that dreams of being me. Now, I mentioned the days all blur together, and I wanted to make sure that I checked when the second shotgun season was going to be starting, and I realized that it was going to be starting a hell of a lot sooner than what I thought it was, and so that added a whole new degree of desperation to the archery season, because you're not allowed to bow hunt during the shotgun seasons in Illinois, and it was coming up fast. Now, I got to this stand, and everything was frosted and beautiful, and the wind was out of the right direction, and there were deer tracks in the snow everywhere, which didn't actually make a whole lot of sense because I couldn't figure out what they were doing on the property to begin with. Now, there's a huge duality in deer hunting from a tree stand, because it can go from the feeling of, I'm not going to see shit, to, holy shit, this might actually happen. And so I literally spent all day in the stand, freezing. There is a savage, desolate beauty to a Midwestern winter. It was about 13 degrees, but the wind was out of the right direction, and I had all the time in the world so long as I could actually stay in the stand. And I didn't have high expectations or hopes, but damn it, I was going to be there because you can't kill them from the couch. And then I saw some deer messing around far, far out of range. But I whipped the cameras on, and then I realized they're moving this way. Got my bow in my hand, and I was ready and waiting and calming myself down that this is going to happen. But of course, this wise old doe knew something was going on. She never looked directly at me. The wind was not in a direction that she could get my scent, but she just knew and hung up right at 30 yards. Now, that's a hell of a poke for a recurve, and her vitals were covered in branches from my point of view, regardless of what was on the camera. So she just hung up. And my hands, even though I had good gloves on, were getting so cold. But it's so exhilarating to be in an animal's flight zone. And it really is addictive. But eventually, she knew something was up, but couldn't pick me out. So she just turned around and took her 2 other deer with her instead of walking in front of me. But it was so awesome getting to watch them. And then I figured, well, shit, that didn't work out. And I heard some crunching on the real heavy snow behind me. Turn around, and damned if there isn't that young button buck from a couple of weeks ago cruising behind my stand and literally walking right underneath a tree that I no longer had a stand on. But he was out of range, and I just let him walk. But I was ready in case he came under the stand. I'm winding down today's episode, and I wanted to tell you a funny story. You get to be old and wise by surviving being young and stupid. And I have done a lot of stupid things in my life, and I'm going to continue to do a lot of stupid things in my life because I can't help it. But I want to help you in case this isn't something that you already know about. So I'm going to tell you a funny story about something that I've done in my life because I've gone out and I've hunted in the later seasons for archery in Illinois where it gets cold. And I've hunted in very expensive camouflage, very expensive hunting boots that were supposed to keep me warm, but no. Why? Because in spite of the fact that I was wearing $500 worth of gear, I also was wearing flannel and Walmart cotton socks. When you think about plaid, what you got to understand is plaid is not necessarily Fredbear plaid. Fredbear plaid was wool. It's not Walmart Faded Glory cotton flannel. Okay? Trad life, plaid life? Well, the trouble is, in the Midwest, or the lower Midwest of Illinois, it's not like we've got a lot of lumberjacks turning in their old Woolrich shirts at a Goodwill where you can find it easily. If you're getting plaid in my state and in most of the lower Midwest rather than the Great Lakes region, then you're getting cotton plaid. So you're going to want wool plaid if you're going with the plaid life, because a Fredbear shirt and a Walmart Faded Glory plaid shirt, not the same thing. Also, the cotton socks thing. I've gone out in $500 worth of expensive-ass fancy gear. But it didn't do me any good because my base layers were flannel and I also was wearing $5 Walmart cotton socks. So go to your local farm store, you should be able to find them, and get the 80% wool real tree boot socks. And you will be amazed at how well they actually work in your fancy-ass hunting boots. With that all being said, could I have gotten that doe today? Maybe. I probably could have made that shot. I know that I could have made that shot if there was nothing on the line. The trouble is, these are living, breathing creatures. And I have not taken a shot that I wasn't 100% confident that I could have made. With that being said, I've also missed twice. And I feel that we need to discuss the traditional ethics of bow hunting. As in, you want them at 20 yards or less, and you want them broadside, ideally, or a quartering away. Because nobody seems to want to admit this, that when you do get an animal in front of you, you forget everything that you thought you knew. And there is this idea of that you have to be successful. Just send it. And I'm not on board with that. Just because you buy a recurve doesn't make you Aaron Snyder. Aaron Snyder is a rising star within the traditional archery community. And frankly, I like him. When we've interacted, he's shown me great respect, and I like Snyder. But the fact is, Snyder works really hard at what he does. And just because you buy a Hoyt and you can do a lot of push-ups doesn't make you Cam Hanes, okay? So don't take shots that you're not sure that you can make. And also, I love being in the flight zone of an animal. That is such a thrill for me. And is it shooting or is it hunting? It becomes hunting rather than shooting
when you are inside of the flight zone, where the animal has the opportunity to understand if you are there. That doe, the wind was in my face, everything was perfect, she never looked directly at me, she just hung up. And that's the way that it worked out. I'm pretty sure that I'm done screwing around with food plots because the gods of the hunt have a sense of humor and they're particularly capricious folk, because I worked very hard to get my stands set up with food plots, to get them tilled and get them put in hopes of hunting over them in the later seasons, only for me to see that they're being completely ignored by the wily whitetail for no apparent reason. This was my last hunt before the second shotgun season was going to be starting, and I planned on making the best of it. I love hunting on the snow because you're able to ghost around the timber as long as it's not crunchy snow that's had freezing rain over top of it. The downside of that is the animals are also able to ghost around in the snow, but at least it shows you clear indicators of their tracks. The trouble with that is, naturally, the animals are wild and free creatures, and it can be difficult to interpret the results that you're seeing under your stand. And it is also very frustrating when you look down out of your stand and you see where deer have been, but are not. And so, my second archery season came to a close in the darkness.
So as you're watching this, it is now second shotgun season for Illinois. I'm getting ready to head to Oklahoma for a boar hunt, so I won't be in the woods until a couple of days after shotgun season gets over with. So you never know what's going to happen on a hunt. Life ain't like the pornos. Hunting ain't like the TV shows. And I bring you the reality of what happens. We are getting into desperate territory here at this point because your chances of success go significantly down after the first two gun seasons. But it's never really bothered me before. Whitetail curse is still in effect, believe it or not. But with that being said, anybody can hunt in October. This is going to be an act of endurance because regardless of whether or not I know or think that I'm going to get something, I'm still going to be going out as long as I'm able to get out there. And I admit, killing one in the later seasons would be a point of pride for me because I do pride myself on going out when other people just wouldn't, because an Illinois winter is absolutely brutal. And I admit, if I get skunked, I get skunked. I hunt for thrill of the chase. And these wily whitetails are running me a merry chase. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching. As always, God bless all my sportsmen of America. Join the Interrated Protector Rides. Please check out my friends over at threeriversarchery.com. Thank you very much to those of you involved in law enforcement and those of you who served in the military. And thanks for watching Tex Grebner Outdoors.